Wonderful. And before I begin, I'll let some wonderful colleagues introduce themselves. And so my colleague who supports everything that goes on in the greater tri-state, all throughout the north. I'm from South Florida, so everything north of Orlando is like Jack London, for me. So I'll let Brandy introduce herself.
Hey everybody, from the great state of Michigan. I work with Barry and Robert on help supporting our team, and I'm looking forward to getting out to the great state of New York and traveling around and visiting everyone soon, since we are back on the road and thankfully meeting with customers again, and hopefully some students if you'll have us.
And from a place that just wishes they could be New York, Paramus, I'll let my colleague Barry introduce himself.
Well, I'm right on the border of New York and New Jersey, but I'm just dedicated to New York State and all the programs within New York State. I'm Barry Nitzberg, and I'm your customer manager, and I put my email address and my phone number in the chat. And if anybody wants any kind of follow-up, any kind of a presentation, an overview, or you need anything, please contact me and I'll stay responsive.
That's great. And thanks again for everybody introducing themselves in the chat. Hey, Pascal from Brooklyn, thanks for joining in. And feel free, Lori Bergstadt gets extra credit here because she's got her video on. So please, it's a small room, 17, 18 folks. So please feel free, unmute yourselves, video mute. Is that a thing, John? Video mute? I don't know. So yeah, feel free, make yourselves at home, make yourselves comfortable. And again, thanks for joining in. I think I've done this presentation a number of times. It's really been gotten some great reviews and very helpful. So please, 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 please. Yeah, okay, wait, we've got more people. By the way, totally unscientific. You have a better chance of winning the New York lottery if you unvideo mute yourself. So Kelly and her friend Clooney, there you go. So when you see them holding the big check on TV because they unmuted themselves and video mute, you heard it here first. So feel free, like I said, join in. We'd love to have some fun. And John, I promise you'll never have to facilitate a session like this again. So, all right, everybody. Okay, so let's get started. Rethinking intake and orientation. This actually has very little to do with Burlington, but I've been giving this presentation all over the country, and we're actually seeing some really, really nice success. I do want you to do me a favor just for a moment. If you would take both hands, if you'd put both hands up, just like I'm doing, please, if you'd model and rub them together, a little thermodynamic right there. Okay, wonderful. Okay, now, if you were, okay, you're good. If you were off camera and you still rubbed your hands together, would you put that in the chat? So now the ones on camera, I kind of guilted, but if you were off camera and you actually rubbed your hands together, okay, would you place that in the chat? Yes, all right. Yes, fantastic. This is great. Thumbs up. This is great. Okay, one of the reasons why I wanted you to do that, besides our audience participation part of the show, is we're going to have a lot of interaction. And the session works a lot better now that you have hands of fire, right? To type and share some thoughts in the chat. Oh, we're going to have a great time here. Okay. All right. So let's get started. So sit back, relax, enjoy the ride, and buckle up. Okay. So rethinking intake and orientation, we start with a question, and that is, what do you personally, and I'm looking at you. No, I'm not frozen. I'm still looking at you. What do you remember from the best or the worst orientation, welcome? It doesn't have to be a school orientation. It could be a greeting at a business or at a Kiwanis or Rotary, at a faith-based. What do you remember from either the best or worst orientations you've been part of? Would you put that in the chat? Do you remember anything that was either the best or the worst? It was centered on the organization and not the participants. Oh, I think that's great, Lori. I love that. What do they say that we all humans want? We want to answer the question, what's in it for? By the way, if you unmute yourself, you also have a great chance of Governor Hochul handing you the New York lottery. Did I pronounce that name right? Okay, I just Googled it.
What's it?
Okay. Okay. Yes. Yeah. So you can unmute yourselves too. Yeah, we're live without a net here. Yeah. So the worst person went through the motions, monotone, kind of like with all the excitement of the Miranda rights. Okay. The atmosphere in general, is it chaos? Is it organized? Heidi, this is so good. In fact, John, I'm logging off. Everybody knows my stuff. They already know it. You guys this is the advanced class. Okay. So you are right. That you just hit the nail on the head. And sometimes non-example can be the best teacher, right? For those of you who said, so I want you to be thinking about your intake and orientation for your students, or, kind of like, does it look like some of the best? Does it look like maybe some improvement? And that's where we're going from here. So our agenda is, number one, research-based boosting first impressions, that if we do a better job, if we can enhance our intake and orientation. Anybody know the dropout, stopout rate for adult education, for new adult ESL, ABE, high school equivalency? Anybody want to put in the chat, what do you think the dropout rate is? And it's dropout, stopout, mean they might come back, but we don't see them for quite a few months. Anybody have an idea of what the dropout rate is? Yeah. You're right. Nationwide, it's 50% in the first month. Is that amazing? And so one of the reasons is because that first impression, we're going to talk about making that first impression a lot better. So not only is it just the right thing to do to have a better intake and orientation, but you significantly boost your chance of retaining your students. Getting to know the students. How much time in intake and orientation do you think across the country is spent listening to students? Anybody want to put in the chat? If you think, and this is not your program, right? This is not me. It's for a friend kind of thing, right? Right. You know that the fact that you're shaking your head makes me worry. Yes. So this is not you, but this is for a friend. Okay. How much time do you think is actually, and I don't mean like what's your address or, what country you're from, but really how much time do you think in intake and orientation across the country in adult education programs? And this is some research done quite a bit ago, but I don't, listen. Yeah, Heidi, you're really onto it. It's minutes that you can count on a hand, right? So, so get to know the students and meet their needs. All right. Number 3, by the way, if you'd like a copy of this presentation or you'd like to follow up, that's Barry Nitzberg, Barry.N, N is in Nitzberg at burlingtonenglish.com. He can be reached literally 24/7. I mean it. I text him at 3 a.m. He texts me back. That's right. Okay. So enhance awareness of program benefits. I always think of the line from a movie. What are you trying to keep this stuff a secret? That we have so much. Oh, Barry. Yes. Heidi, would you put Barry.N in the chat for you all? That's great. And your phone number. It's a free call too. Okay. So enhance awareness of program benefits. Okay. All right. Help students be ready to learn in intake and orientation. We're going to talk about what that means. Did I mention it's a free call? Yeah, Barry. Yeah. Okay. That's right. Even though it's to New Jersey, still a free call. Okay. Follow up with students after they start. So we're going to have some real fun right here. By the way, make sure your tray tables are down. You can have all the fun you can want and no mask. Okay. So step 1, boost first impressions. So here's where I need those hot hands again. Okay. I need those hot hands. All right. So here's a question for the chat, please. All right. What soft skills do you teach your students to put into use in a job interview? Okay. In the chat. For extra, so Governor Hochul can hand you that New York lottery check. What's an example of a soft skill that you, okay, greetings, eye contact. Thank you, John. Yep. Not being on the phone. Oh, yeah. Oh, great. Yes. Yes. Excuse me, guys. I got to take a call. Yes. Yes. I love that. Yeah. Clean appearance, time management, punctuality. Now, do we ever violate any of this in adult education across the country? I've never seen it in New York. Never, never. Some other places I do outside of New York, but never in New York. That's right. So what soft skills can we practice with brand new students? By the way, before I punch this one, 30 years ago, ACE of Florida, which is the NYACCE of Florida, I was on the board. We had a consultant come in and he said in a Southern accent, he said, folks, unless your students are brought to you on a little yellow school bus because mama and daddy said they got to go, you don't have students, you have customers. 30 years ago, I heard that. We don't have students. Sorry, if it's not compulsory education, you don't have students, you have customers. So with our customers, those we're trying to serve, what can we do? So in the chat, what would be a best practice then when students walk in, they're in intake, they're in orientation? Anybody want to put in the chat, what's something you could do? So we shared what they could do going into what could we do? What kind of soft skill could we do for students? Anybody? Introduction, first in the pool, Barry. Yep. Yes. Hi. Glad you're here today. Who said that? Who was that? It was that Laurie. All right. Using their name. Yes. Ellen, are you a recovering waiter or waitress like me? It's when I would see somebody's name on a polo shirt and you'd name it. So John, tell me about LaGuardia. They'd be like, wow, how do you know him for LaGuardia? His wife hits him, honey, you have John Hunt, LaGuardia Community College on your polo. Yes, it's exactly. And isn't it funny that we know a lot of this stuff because we experience it in business? Isn't that something, right? Don't we experience a lot of this in business, So what are those things? Use their name, remember something they told you. Yes. Oh, you're from Huehuetenango, Guatemala. Where is Huehuetenango? And it's pretty amazing. I remember Huehuetenango. Okay. So boost first impressions. And somebody said it. Yeah. Ellen, another great one from Ellen. Thank them for coming. Thank you for coming in today and everything. Yeah. Welcome. We are so happy you are here. Yeah. Yeah. We're so happy that you're here. This is actually, I was just in a program in Oregon, and they had that all over the place. They had it in so many different languages, not just bienvenidos or bienvenue, but they had, we are happy you are here, all over the place. We're not K-12. And this, I often talk about ESL, but this is also obviously for your native born population, your ABE, high school equivalency, GED. Let them know we're not K-12. And a lot of those, find a way, because you can sense a lot of times when students are feeling like they're just waiting to get zapped because their hat's just a little askew or something, right? Tell them we're not K-12. We're adult education, and share with them what that means, that we're here for you, and not necessarily just the other way around. There's lots of great information on the web. If you just Google motivating factors, motivating, and really, like I said, all the research in the world really points to that. I probably, as a 30-something year adult educator in the field for decades, I probably broke the following rule. Take a look at this for a moment. I probably broke the Hippocratic Oath, and this is probably what I did. Take a look for a moment. If I could take, I remember a presenter 20 years ago saying to us in a Welcome to Adult Education 25 years ago, if I could do one thing, it's take everything you know about K through 12 and pull it out. Because you're going to practice a lot of K through 12 things, and these are adults. So I immediately went back, and our director had us take a look at everything we did that smacked of kind of punitive K through 12, and said, is that really what we do with customers? If they were customers, if they were interviewing us on a daily basis, That is a great activity. If anybody's looking for an activity to take back to your program, take a look at intake, orientation, student recruitment, the whole, yeah, what do we do that probably is more suited for K-12 and really doesn't belong in adult education? Your satisfaction is important to us. When was the last time you heard your satisfaction is important to us? In the chat, would anybody share, go through your memory bank. When was the last time you think you heard, and where was it maybe? When was the last time you heard your satisfaction is important to us? Anybody come across that in the last year, 2 year in the chat? Anybody at the car? Yep. Car dealership. Yep. Yep. Yeah. Isn't it amazing? Something as simple as DoorDash and everything. And that's okay. Only if there's money involved. That's okay. Business is not a bad word, because sometimes like we should think like a business sometimes gets a bad, but actually businesses sometimes, if they're the great businesses, they're thinking about the people, right? They're thinking about the people. So I really like where was the places that really people feel at home and everything. And that's really something like that. Okay. So let us tell you about our programs. We're going to talk more about that. You would not believe the average program hides so much of its value, and that if you'd share that, that would be a significant boost. Okay. Get to know the students and meet their needs. So here's a question for you. What's important? Remember, the average student only gets less than 5 minutes to truly talk about themselves beyond just name, rank, serial number, stuff for a registration form. Has less than 5 minutes in the standard adult ed orientation intake process across the country. What's important for you to hear from your students? Anybody want to put in the chat what's important? What's gonna help you serve them better, do you think? And it can be an obvious one. Yeah. I love, let's see, I want to put Kimiko. Thank you so much. Check out Kimiko's. Their passions, even beyond just the, I need a high school equivalency or I need to improve, but I want to get to know the person. So John, I'm putting you on the spot. You have to unmute yourself. When John's not changing the world of adult education, what do you spend your time in, hobbies or something?
Learning a language.
What if you could have a magic wand right now and learn a language? What language would that be?
I'm studying Irish very slowly.
Aaron, go brah. All right. That is great. So everybody mark your calendars. Next St. Patrick's Day, we're all calling John and we're talking, was it Gaelic or no? What are we?
Irish Gaelic, yeah.
Irish Gaelic, everybody. Mark your calendars, write it down now. And he's buying the Guinness. All right, fantastic, because he's reached his goal. John's gonna you all the next NYACCE conference in person. You're gonna go up and talk about St. Patrick's Day to John, and that's the power of getting to know our students' passions, hobbies, and definitely goals. And so, what might we need to adjust? How might we adjust what we offer to meet these needs and these things of students? What are some things you might hear from students when they're talking, besides just filling out a registration form? What might you hear from students if you gave them a chance to speak that might help you adapt to serve them better? Anybody got some ideas of what you might hear? Besides the fact that, once they're off site, then you can go have a Guinness with them or something like that. Anybody got some ideas of what getting to know the student and what's something that a registration form doesn't ask them? Yeah. Oh, there you go. Kimiko again. Their families living, the commute. I can't believe, right? That's not really asked on a registration form, things that really impact the students so much. Yeah. Hidden barriers. There you go, John, the barriers to come into class. Yeah. Yeah, love it. Personalize what their goals are. Hey, maybe what their job was, because a lot of times it'll ask, possibly we get to know their previous employment, or sometimes we might ask if their level of education, but we won't hear that they were actually trained, right? That they might actually have some certification that we can build on, and some exposure and dreams back in their home country. All right. So also, this is from the Gallup people. I love this one. This is one of the reasons why I'm asking so many of you to mute yourself and what have you. Engagement doesn't begin until people hear their own voice in the room. Love that. Love that. The more choice, John will forever remember this, and it will be even spurred on to learn Irish Gaelic even more because he had a chance to jump in there. Okay. So definitely just giving people the chance to tell us about yourself. Think about it. Do you do this? Does anybody do this in, oh gosh, in your teacher professional development, in your administrator? Think of the things, that you do to build that psycho-emotional. And that's what we're going after. We're going after, we want to put the people in adult education. What might be challenges for you to succeed? Okay. And that might mean technology or something like that, right? So we want to ask more than just, again, what the registration form asks. Does anybody have anybody want to put an idea of what do you think I mean by information or resources that might help a student, a brand new student? Anybody want to put in the chat, what kind of resources or information might you share with students in intake and orientation? Anybody want to put in the chat what they think? What is something that you might be able to provide a learner to help them get started in your program and do a better job? Yep. Access to technology. Yeah. Wi-Fi. Love it. Love it. Yeah. And if you've watched the government just put out about low cost Wi-Fi, things like that. Yeah. Yeah. Basic keyboarding, education links, instruction in multiple languages. Yeah. In the old days, it was even something as simple as like bus maps, right? Or maybe a friend dropped them off at school, but you knew, there you go, Brandy, help with transportation. Yeah. Yeah. Love that. Love it. What are those resources that you can help? And it also tunnel vision. Anybody know what's the term called for where you're serving more than just their educational needs, but you're serving other needs, true needs that they might have, such as transportation to school. Maybe you give them bus passes and things like that. Anybody know that term when you do more than just meet their educational needs, but maybe, Brandy from the corner, Kimiko, yes, wraparound services. Love it, love it. Break out of the tunnel vision for intake and orientation, right? Remember when I said, somebody finish this, what's in it for anybody?
Me.
Yes, yes. But so when we walk into orientation as the educators, too often, I was guilty as a local director, recovering local director now. That's right. I walked in thinking, hey, this intake orientation, this is about us. But really, what would happen if I change that paradigm to what's in it for them? What might I have on hand besides just program information, right? So I love all those things in there. Yes. Okay. And then what kind of learning models for you? And really, learning model might also just mean schedule based on what's best for you. Okay. I love how I thought I was doing always the best job. I was like, Barry, listen, I know you can't come all 4 nights for night school. So it's 4 nights a week. You have the ability, because I know you have barriers and everything. Well, then Barry would show up on Monday, then he'd have to work Tuesday, Wednesday night. Then he'd come back on Thursday night, but the teacher was like 20 pages ahead. No wonder we have a dropout rate. Like, so maybe if I knew your work schedule better and how you could participate, I could come up with, and actually my entire student body, I could come up with synchronous, asynchronous, live, on your own, on-site, online, better to meet, and not, again, make it that K through 12, everybody gets the same meal kind of thing. Okay. So now, enhance awareness of program benefits. Geico has a problem. People don't know that Geico does what? What do you think? Well, first off, in the chat, what does Geico do? What do they offer? Anybody want to put? Come on, they've got a lizard. They got a caveman. What do they offer? In the chat. Yeah. A little bit more specific, a little bit more specific. Yeah. In the chat. Okay, there you go. Car insurance, car insurance. So my grandfather actually worked in DC in the 30s. He actually had Geico policy number like 2000. And Geico is all I've ever known. I'm like 100 years old. I've been driving like 40 years or something like that. And so Geico is all I knew. Do you know when we built our house 12 years ago, I didn't call Geico for homeowners insurance. They did too good of a job. I just thought they were cars. They offer homeowners insurance. So bottom line is, a lot of times people think they're in a place just to learn English or just to get a GED. We've got to help them do better at that. So here's what so the question to you, what do you offer? What do you offer? We can help you learn English, right? Right? Does everybody have a program to learn English, to help folks learn English? Anybody? Yeah. Does everybody offers ESL? Okay, perfect. Like I say, if you unvideo mute yourself, you will get extra credit. All right. You will get extra credit. All right. Yes. Yes. We're partnering with SUNY Robert, and we're going to send you an extra master's. Okay. All right. So, okay. So anybody know what HISI is? There's ESL, ABE, and then HISI. Does anybody know what HISI is? Yeah. ESL, and then you finish ESL, then you go to ABE, then you go to HISI. Nobody? Poor Brandy has to listen to this one. Yes, you don't know what HISI? I was going to give you money. I have, oh my gosh. I have all kind of money I was going to give. Wait, you can't see it. Okay, wait. No, it's green. Yes, I have hundreds of dollars right here I was going to give. Come on, GED is an example. HiSET is an example. Come on, somebody's got to know what HISI is. Come on, somebody. Really? Okay, Brandy, unmute yourself. What's HISI?
High school equivalency.
HSE.
HSE.
Okay, how many of you admit that sometimes you use the term HSE? Anybody? Anybody say HSE at all? Okay, all right. And so, yes. So the marketing research is the average student we're trying to recruit and the student we're intaking doesn't know what HSE is. They think it's HISI, HSE. I actually heard that from a student. What's HISI? So do we speak in jargon? Do you think we speak in jargon ever? Do you think we ever do that with students? Like we talk about EFLs and things like that. So bottom line is, go ahead and spell it out like we do GED, or explain what it is. What else does your program offer besides ESL, ABE, and GED or HiSET? In the chat, would you please tell me something of value that you offer your students besides just learn English, get a GED? Anything else that you do besides just pure learn English, get a GED? Do you have anything else that you offer your students? I love it. Case management. Yeah, books for the family, case management, workplace. Yep, direct support to apply. Yes, John, out of the park. Yes. Yep, the Mets need you. Yeah, or Yankees. Let's see. I didn't know who to pander to. Okay, cosmetology. Yes. Oh, yes, Ellen. Yes, let's put the W in WIOA. Yes, not IOUA. That's right. But a W, that's right. Let's put the workforce in there. Yeah. Yeah, this is great. What else do we have to offer? Why are we keeping this a secret? This is like we're a Swiss Army knife and we're only showing you the one blade. We got toothpicks. We got magnifying glasses. We got, yeah, an awl. And I didn't even know what an awl was with a W. Okay. So exactly. Enhance in your intake and orientation. Oh, hold on a second. In the chat, if you walk onto a car lot, what's one of the first things they want to do on a car lot to get you hooked? In the chat, when you walk on a car lot, what's one thing that they want to do to get you hooked? Why? Why? Oh, free cookie. I love it. Test drive free cookies. Test drive and free cookies. Are you kidding me? I'll take 2. Yes, that's right. Why do they want you to do that? Why do they want to get you? Come on, somebody in the, yes. John, do you know how good you look in this Corvette? John, oh my gosh, top down. Are you kidding me? That's right. Exactly, exactly. They want to get you. And what's the not so good stuff at the very end of that experience? What's the not so good thing on after that car lot and you picked out the car? What's the not so? The hidden fees. What else are they doing when you're sitting down negotiating? Yeah. What are maybe they checking on when you're sitting down in that little office in the back with no clocks or anything? What are they checking? Yeah. Are they getting your credit check? Okay. So what is our equivalent of like a credit check and everything in adult ed and checking for qualifications? What do we do in adult education? Yes, yes, yes. Oh my gosh. Oh no, you know what you're telling me? Lori, this is my 30-something year in adult education. You've been telling me I've been doing it wrong. I don't like a car lot that checks your credit first. And maybe if you're good, I'll let you sit in the car later. That's right. That's right. So in fact, we've got some pilots going on around the country where some programs we're working with have taken a vow not to check credit first. They're actually trying to experiment because they have a dropout rate anyway. They're trying with a few pilots. Actually, for the first night when they see students, they don't give them a registration form or a assessment right away. They actually get them in the car and the new car smell and the wind in their hair and everything. Yeah. And then once they've got them hooked and they tell them about all those things that you shared with me, about all those things that you have to offer, then they'll run the credit. Then they'll have them fill out the registration form. Isn't that a neat concept? Now it's pilots, so I don't know. Isn't that kind of interesting? That kind of flipping. Because we talk about flipping the classroom. What about flipping intake and orientation? What about get them hooked so that when we do those things, kind of interesting. So how many of you all either offer or would like to offer citizenship prep? Would you put that in the chat? How many of you offer, or do you think that's important to some of your students? Do any of you offer citizenship preparation in any way, shape, or form? All right, great. By the way, admittedly, shameless promo for Burlington English. If you haven't seen our core Module 10 citizenship, let Barry show you. It's got the N400. And more than that, overwhelmingly, the citizenship process is mostly listening comprehension, mostly listening comprehension. The fact that I turned off my camera is that research is, even with native speakers, when you can't see me, that dictation accuracy goes down if you can't see the speaker. So this is the value of listening comprehension, job interviews, listening comprehension. And in Burlington English, we shine in citizenship prep, and it's included in what you get. Let students know that, by the way, Samantha, you're up for the New York lottery because you turn on your video. That's awesome. Yes. If other people, I know, you'll never have to work another day in your life, but you'll still come to work. Okay. Career counseling. A lot of you said that you offer career counseling. That's great. Or if you have an affiliation with your American Job Center or affiliation with anybody that offers career counseling. By the way, second shameless plug, career exploration and soft skills with Burlington English that Barry Nitzberg can show you. It's a great course we have. They build a career pathway portfolio. It is really fantastic. How many of you offer some type of IET, IELCE, or other type of, yeah, oh, that Rochelle, great point right there. The value is not convenient for all students. Yep. By the way, Rochelle's comment is something nice. A lot of folks use us where they don't have enough time or capacity on site, but they use us asynchronously or remote to offer things that they normally wouldn't have the staffing just on site. So yes. Okay. So perfect. So let students know, I've been to the hills of Guatemala and Haiti, you know, I've been to a lot of places where our students come from, and a lot of them, they just don't have the kind of equivalence like we have, like adult education, definitely like career advisement and career prep the way we have. So we have to, particularly for our English as a new language folks, let them know that we've got these things and they're available. When do you think the average ESL learner across the country even, oh, yes, definitely, Rochelle, yes. When do you think the average ESL learner hears about career training in an adult ESL program? Anybody want to take a guess at when they hear about career training? So this is something neat. This is something neat. Yeah, when they get to be Burlington English classes. Great answer, Michelle. Yeah, and that's why we definitely build it. So when students are building a portfolio, they see what would you like to do? And it has models like move into ABE, go post-secondary. It allows them even to ask their teacher. Yeah, Octave did a little research thing quite a few years back. The average student isn't hearing nationwide until almost like the advanced ESL about a lot of these things. Or because a lot of folks unfortunately have models in their head like, oh, I've got to wait till they learn English, and that when they're in ABE, GD, I'll talk with them about it. So really sharing this early on can really boost ongoing retention, because there's so much value they know when they stick with your program. Okay, flexible schedules. If I'm a student and I can only come at night, what is my typical schedule in your program? Would you put that in the chat? Do I typically come 4 nights a week or 2 nights a week? Am I on site? Am I online? Monday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Thursday. Yeah. 2 nights. Perfect. Yes. Yeah, I love this. Love the fact that a lot of us are getting very adaptive in what we do. Perfect. Yeah, that's actually a sweet spot. Perfect. That flexible schedules. And if you saw me in the opening, I talked about the fact that how adults learn and how we should enhance their learning. That study is called, that ology is called andragogy, if you will, OG, versus pedagogy, which is in adult worlds is mostly thought of as K through 12. So andragogy, one of the big tenets is I'm an adult. I bring a lot. I bring an adult, responsibility to my learning. I want to take more, control of my own learning. And that means you get me started live synchronously. And I promise you, whether it's on my Burlington app or my smartphone, I'll continue. If you encourage me, and if in teaching, you show me that what you're teaching me live, I can continue on my own asynchronously, I'll do it. And so flexible schedules that build in not just live teaching synchronous, but even asynchronous. And then just really let them know that there's ongoing support. Let them know that we want to help you during this entire journey. And that means not just for ESL, ABE, GED, but really the whole gamut. Okay. Help students be ready to learn. So the question, in the chat, if you would, since you got those hot hands, what do you think we could do? Oh, by the way, who has challenges saying, Robert, I love this idea of enhancing intake and orientation, but in the chat, who says, yeah, Robert, I love this idea, but you know what? I don't have the kind of building time or staffing. How many of you might have building or staffing challenges that, typically in the past have restricted you from rethinking intake and orientation? Does anybody have those challenges? Anybody? If you put in the chat, yeah. Anybody have that? Enough space, enough staff? Perfect. Okay. Gotcha. Now, how about this? How many of you have a Facebook page? How many of you have a Facebook page or some type of other social media? I don't know. My MySpace isn't getting hit a lot, but yeah. How many of you? There's a few chuckles on that one. They caught that. Okay. Gotcha. How many of you all have a dedicated school website? So you might be part of a school district or part of a college, but you're able to have an adult education page or pages. Does anybody have that? Okay. Folks, this is also where Brandy and Barry can really help you out. We do a lot of work all over the country, and I haven't had a chance to go to your website, so I'll have to say present company excluded, but Brandy can tell you, and Barry's familiar. Brandy does work with Joliet Junior College there in Greater Chicago, and their Facebook page, there was a time during the pandemic that the adult education Facebook page was getting more views than the Joliet Junior College community page. It was just amazing. And so a lot of programs are putting on their websites or Facebook or what have you, they're putting content that they don't have enough time to do live with their new students. They're putting it on their websites or Facebook pages. And if they don't have, let's say, all native speakers of everybody's ESL, English as a new language folks, if they don't have a Burmese speaker that night or what have you, they will actually record and part of that orientation, intake and orientation, and put it online. So that, again, say, Robert, I don't have that kind of speaker all the time, or I don't have enough time. So just be thinking, one of the best things you can do, just videotape, just tape whatever you would like. The fact that you have citizenship prep, the fact that you have some kind of job training, the fact that anything that you'd like to share with your learners that you don't have enough time maybe to do an standard intake and orientation, put it online. By the way, programs that do redundant, that even they put information recorded online, that even those students are going to experience it live, guess what? Repetition. Students love to go back of what they experienced live and check it again. Okay. And again, particularly for our English as a new language friends, you can do it in multiple languages. So help students be ready to learn. So now I'll ask you, thanks, Rochelle. Now I'll ask you in the chat, to be better prepared to learn, what can we do with students before they enter class? And let's just say that you have resources and you have time and you have building or Zoom space. So in the chat, would anybody be a good sport and put in to be better prepared to learn, what can we do with students before they enter class? Okay. What do you think would be helpful to them? What kind of capacity to build in them? Ah, great. Geo, showing them technology. Yep. Giving them links to follow. Brush up. Yep. Anybody else? I love Geo's thing on technology. Like, we have an app in Burlington, and some of our highest performing programs around the country, they make sure before students go into the classroom that they've already helped them download the app and everything. YouTube videos to watch. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, great. So Rochelle, perfect. Show them technology. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Okay. So here are the top things that people are doing around the country. They're actually trying their best to take longer in intake and orientation. Their program's seeing noticeable retention increases by spending just a little bit more time in intake and orientation. Students aren't just registration, check your credit, right? Not just registration form, not just tape test or best plus or whatever, and then shot down to class, but actually doing the following. Help build their awareness of how your program works. Number one thing, this was, oh, I love this. Lori, we break intake into 4 sessions. They don't know it is all intake, but we spread it out. I love that, right? It doesn't have to all be, what a great outside the box thinking. For those of you watching the chat, Lori, great. Wave, Lori, everybody say hi to Lori. Hi, Lori. Yes, yeah. So yeah, I think that is great. Break it up. I love that thing. Yeah, exactly. The average student, particularly for adult ESL, if you think about it, that is one of the few parts of education where it's not like K through 12, where you know exactly how many high school credits you have, whether you're a freshman, sophomore, junior, or college where you have so many credits, or even like GED, where you kind of know because we're giving you a grade level. You're a 12.1, you're a 9.8, you kind of know where you're at. ESL is a kind of a interesting place because the average student, if you tell them a score, a test score, really don't know where it's at. Now you can show them kind of like a thermometer, but the bottom line is ESL students need to be supported more than anybody else as far as let me know how the program works and how do I move through it, far more than ABE, GED. Let's see. Yeah, love the idea. Thank you, Giovanni. Talking about some great strategies. I love this. Again, warm-ups, practicing. Great. If you have a chance to read what Gio put in the chat, I think it's some really, really spot on. Yeah. But the biggest thing is the average adult ESL student really doesn't know exactly what is this. Like I just keep coming until all of a sudden magically I speak English or something. So yeah. Then digital navigators. This is a huge push in Minnesota. They have digital navigators. They put together like digital backpacks and things through some grant funding. Does anybody have a good connection with any volunteer groups out there? Anybody in the chat? Does anybody have a connection with, maybe it's Kiwanis, Rotary, Library, faith-based? Does anybody have a connection with a community organization at all? If you'd put in the chat, just looking for who that might be, just some ideas. And one of the reasons, yeah, Girl Scouts, City Tutors, yeah, John, it blows my mind that the largest WIOA recipient in Pennsylvania is not a school district or community college. It's a community-based organization, Literacy Pittsburgh. And one of the reasons they've had so much success, before they even got into WIOA funding and everything, they had hundreds and hundreds of volunteers. Same thing in Colorado. The largest WIOA recipient isn't a school district or community college or college. It's the Learning Source, so see, community-based organization in Denver. It's amazing because they also had hundreds of volunteers. One of the secret weapons you can do if you're with us, by the way, in the chat, would you put, if you're either a school district, community college, or community-based organization in the chat, if you'd put CBO or school district or community college, if you'd put in there, okay. Yeah. Okay, perfect. Okay, community college. Okay. Volunteers are your secret weapon. If I were back as a local director again in Florida, I would be speaking with the Chamber of Commerce, with Rotary, Kiwanis, libraries. WIOA has asked, and just state accountability and everything else has asked us to do so much more, and the money does not match. Volunteer is the secret weapon. I've seen some states where every student gets a volunteer, gets somebody. Now, so John, think of it. When we get this mass new migration of Irish Gaelic speakers and everything, and John is retired and is playing golf and everything, he could be in Florida. That's the great thing. He could be in Florida. Made a bad decision, came to Florida, sorry. He's playing golf, and I could call him up from LaGuardia and say, John, we'll put you back to work. Can you just call a few Irish Gaelic speaking students a week and just say, how's it going? And just say, hey, I want you to get you into class and everything. You know, that is a great, I love that concept. Love it, love it, love it. Okay. Yeah, love this. Oh, great point, Samantha. Okay. Tech boot camp. And again, this means so many things. I think Rochelle had a great question. Like, what is this? This has so many things. But the bottom line is, oh, here's a for instance. I love this one. There's a program in Iowa that does a community college that even though they know a student is going to be served 100% remotely, they still have them come in and they do their first Zoom on site in a lab. They have the teacher sit in another class and they have a proctor, so that instead of you go home and try to figure out how to get your laptop camera turned on and mute and everything, you do it on site and you have somebody help you. So you do your first Zoom class on site where there's help right there, and then you go home so you don't struggle. Isn't that kind of cool? I thought that was really, really neat. So, hey, and as my friends in Iowa say, you can't spell WIOA without Iowa. All right, so you knew that was coming. Okay, tip your waitresses or just call Barry. Okay, tech loaner programs. Did anybody get involved with any kind of tech loaner program during the pandemic? And who did you do it with? Was that internal? Was that a school district? Was that library? Who got involved with any type of tech loaner program? Anybody at all? College, the college thing. John, I'm coming to LaGuardia. That's it. I'm coming up. Yes. And we'll catch a Mets or Yankee game too. There you go. I actually grew up a Yankee fan because of my granddad, but Mets are winning more. So yeah, although I want to see Aaron Judge. All right. Okay. Loan Chromebooks. Perfect. Okay. Yep. Go Mets. Okay. Yes. We offer one through our agency, Handful, public library. Yeah, the public libraries were really because the public libraries are trying to reinvent themselves and stay relevant. So I'm hearing a lot of discussion of that. If you want to partner, the libraries are looking to help out. Okay. Awareness of internet options. Please, if you haven't seen the latest on, go to like everyoneon.org, or there's so many websites. And again, barry.n at burlingtonenglish.com. Barry, if you want to pop your email in there in the chat, we'll get you information. But if you just Google places like everyoneon.org or any of these, as you've been seeing what's coming out from the White House is digital, it's free or low cost or no cost internet. It is fantastic. It is fantastic out there. So awareness of internet options. Okay. And so big finish here, as my friends on Broadway say. So follow up with students after they start. Follow up. Full disclosure, I didn't deal that, as much as I wish. Okay. How do businesses follow up with you and me? Anybody in the chat? I know some of you are part of loyalty programs. I know some of you are counting your points or whatever. How do businesses either stay connected or communicate with you? Anybody in the chat? What is customer service surveys? Yep. Birthday, I saw a California provider that does birthday cards. They actually get permission at the very beginning. I thought it was kind of interesting. And they actually send them, it's an automated, needless to say, an automated system, but the student gets a birthday card, a virtual birthday card. How cool is that? Love it. Yeah. Texting. Samantha, perfect. And if you happen to use Burlington, we added great communication tools, messaging tools to keep in contact with your students even, yeah, remind. Yeah. Yeah. How do businesses do it? Yeah. Customer surveys. That goes back to that. You can do it automated. Yeah. How do they keep up? How do they follow up? How do they keep connected? Swag, right? Swag. The amount of students who wear, if you can get your, and this question isn't as holistic as I meant it to be. How do you in general? Yeah. Oh, Barry, are we out of time? Oh, we have 15 more minutes, right? Correct? Okay. All right. Thanks. Okay. Time check. Oh, gotcha. Okay. First, this is the big finish. This is where I've got a special guest right here. The name rhymes with Obama, but okay. So follow up with students after they start, connect in their native language. This also goes back to, I got to thank Pastor EJ from the Haitian Baptist Church in Immokalee, Florida. He was my tutor. And I had 60 Haitian refugees in 1991 in a cafeteria for the summer. I had to teach English. I hope they learned English. I learned Haitian Creole, and Pastor EJ was great. He had his parishioners actually come and reach out, not to proselytize or anything, but just to make connections, make sure everybody had a hello, welcome to Bethune Education Center and everything. So whether it's faith-based or libraries, volunteer programs, senior programs, anything, if you can find people who speak for current or former students. Does anybody use current or former students in any capacity whatsoever? That my former assistant director, who is now director, took my job, making a lot more money than I am. Ariel's doing fantastic. He's using current students in the intake process as like testimonials. And they're volunteering to connect with students after they've been in class like a week or two. How's it going and what have you? Love that. Love it. And that's really the thing, is whether you have an automated system like Constant Contact, which is free. If anybody uses Constant Contact or any type of, free mass email, again, Barry, we can help you out with that. Love it. Yeah. Testimonials on your website. Yeah. Alumni. Oh, John, perfect. Home run. Yes. Alumni success stories. Exactly. Testimonials on the website, highlight learners of the month. Love that. Not just what's going well, obviously, how can we help, and what's not going as well. This is probably, what do you think a week after somebody's been, particularly in an adult ESL class, what do you think the hiccup might be? Anybody have an idea in the chat? What do you think the top responses would be for somebody after a week who things aren't going, smooth as silk? Yes. John, this is not your first rodeo. Yep. Level 2 high. Yeah. Childcare. Yep. And what was that term when I try to support a learner more than just their education? What was that term we used? Anybody in the chat remember that word? When I might be thinking about that. Michelle from the corner. Yes. The Knicks need you. Oy, my Knicks. Yes. Exactly. Wraparound services. So think about it. Back to, it's not just what's in it for me as the local director, as the program at intake and orientation, but also not just what's in it for the class, but also what might not be going well. Like you say, car broke down, might be housing assistance. This is where I was lucky. I had, I'm in a heavy senior area here, retired area, Southwest Florida. And I had folks, I was able to get, I went to our school district that I was attached to, and I got lists of all the former guidance counselors. I got a list of all the retired guidance counselors, and all I needed was like 5 or 6, and they were part of my reach out. And they were just naturally wired to think whole person and everything. So they would have bus schedules and housing assistance and rental, rent and electric and all these things. They were great. There's a lot of resources out there for you, and I love that. Use social media. to stay connected. You would not believe, again, I keep bringing up this program just because we did a ton of work with them, Joliet Junior College. In the pandemic, they first got their Facebook up and running to recruit students, but then, of course, their heart went out to them, to the students during those challenging times of the worst of it. So they put things like food pantry information. They put, just all kinds of information. Again, right now they have information about this free or low cost internet. They started putting so much information on their student Facebook page that students, the amount of stickiness of that page is amazing. So what can you do on your social media more than just we're here to learn English, help you learn English or get a GED? What can you hold like a little, does anybody hold any community days or nights on site? Does anybody have like job fair or community fair? Do you ever have guest speakers come in? Anybody in the chat? Do you do that in your program? Again, services, social services, or jobs, or so for any of you who do that, think about doing that all year on your social media. Think about it. It is amazing for boosting student retention. Job fair, mobile vegetable markets. We have the rep from Citizenship and Immigration Services. I love that. Job fairs. So I saw one program Facebook page again in Iowa. They put like Gas Buddy. They put like how to find the trending gas prices, because I hear gas prices are pretty. I never drive. I just fly all over the country. And yeah, isn't that neat, Rochelle? Yeah. Again, if I can get out of, I'm just here to do adult education, but rather I'm here to serve you holistically. It's amazing. You don't have to do a job fair community day or a night just once a year. You can do it ongoing on your Facebook page, or just your communication. I've got if you're not familiar with Constant Contact, it is great. It's just a great way to email, and they have templates and everything. We started doing a newsletter back 15 years ago, using that to our students, where we would put information like this, things very little related to actually the education and more to the whole student. It was amazing what I don't know if you're aware, but in Florida, we actually have a tuition for ESL GED. It's $30 a semester if you can show you've lived in Florida a year, and it's $120 a semester if either you can't show you've lived in Florida a year, or you just choose not to show any documents. And that was about 13 years ago that went into effect. We suffered almost a 40% decline in students in 1 year. And we were worried, the state of Florida, because we're very well state funded in Florida. We were worried that the Florida legislature was going to say, congratulations, you have 40% less work to do. We're going to cut you 40%. So needless to say, we went gangbusters with we understanding that the average program in Florida and around the country, we mostly relied just on word of mouth, and that we needed more people. And so we started doing things like social media and Constant Contact for mass emails, and thinking what of value, like for many of you, you put like USCIS and different things, mobile vegetable market. Yeah. So that, I got to tell you, we got, it's a shame we didn't carry that on because our numbers rebounded and everything. But yeah, but that was a great scare, if you will, to help us think outside the box, that we need our students, and we need a lot more students. And so, yeah. Well, everybody, I just want to say, thank you so much. And just to recap, I hope this has been, helpful to you, at least spark some ideas as we recap. Just that first impression. You all have been fantastic. I give you 5 stars. Just want to let you know, if you send me a survey for you have participated, yes, and I give you 5 stars. And thanks, Kimiko. And I think that you've done a great job boosting the first impression. This is John and I's first impression. John, I'm going to learn some more. I'm going to watch Ray Donovan and learn more than whatever the toasted slide to thing. And getting to know your students. I'm glad I got to know you all a little bit. I hope I modeled the appropriate behavior, that if I'm asking you to do that with your students, I hope I got to know you a little bit better and to know your needs a little bit more. Remember, I need 5 stars. Yeah, because Barry's got to give me an approval. Yeah. He's a tough grader, let me tell you. And then, again, enhance awareness of your program benefits. Don't keep it a secret. Let students, my goal with Burlington, our goal, Brandy's goal, Barry's goal, is we want every student who walks through the door to know this is more than just a place to learn English. And we do that with our digital pathway portfolio, with everything that we put into Burlington English. We want them to know that they're in a very holistic thing. And then again, help your students. This is also where Burlington shines. If you're getting ready, the amount of things I launched in my time as a local director, coordinator, teacher on special assignment, where I think about it now, how did I throw my teachers into the deep end like that? Wow, I should have prepared them better. Barry is a 3rd degree black belt in support. He is fantastic. He keeps you laughing, and yet you learn. It is great, and it's all free. And then lastly, just follow up. Just follow up. Find ways to keep up with your students. And again, Barry does a great job. And if you're ever having you heard me say it in the very, very beginning, but there's only 3 reasons to call Barry Nitzberg. One, if you're just wanting to find, for those of you who put 1 or 2, how much you know about Burlington, he is great about leading you through Burlington. The number 2 reason to call Burlington is, what kind of service, Barry, do you offer, sir? And I'm going to put him on the spot with
superior, responsive, world-class service.
All right, we came up with that on my last trip to New York, world class. And then lastly, if you're just having a tough day, just call Barry. He's my Prozac when I'm having a tough day. Well, friends, I think we have just a couple minutes. I'll open it up. If you, like I say, better chance of winning the New York lottery if you unmute yourself and unvideo mute. So any questions or any thoughts? Is there anything you're going to maybe try to experiment with that you heard in the session? How about that? Anybody at all? I've got lots of money that could be coming your way. See, Rochelle, you're going to see him next week. Okay. Anything else you do? Anything else? I know we've got some black belts here. I see Rochelle. Anybody else with some ideas? Heidi?
I do have a question. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, perfect.
I am not going to unface mute or whatever you call it, because I don't know. But I struggle with the idea of not doing the testing early, only because of some of the population that I work with and blah, blah, blah. So just kind of a follow-up to that. At what point do you recommend starting that, if I were going to toy with that, or with these tests that you're talking about that are going on where they're moving it farther along into the process? What point do you recommend starting this intake testing? Because I utilize it to find out where to place this person, because we do tutorials 1-to-1, and I want to know from soup to nuts, where do I put this person? What do I tell this tutor to work on with them? And I've been relying on the intake testing to do that. So, how could you speak to that for a minute, if you don't mind?
Yeah, and anybody else out there, I've got some really great veteran folks on the line here too. Anybody else have some ideas of, and we definitely, just to clarify, we know that constraints are constraints. And Robert, I only have enough time, but I think even just a few minutes, just before the DMV feeling starts, that one thing my former director told me.
Oh, gotcha.
Even if you just have time enough to find out that, anything about them whatsoever, just starting more than just the DMV feeling. But anybody else, maybe a questionnaire for your intake folks?
Oh, because I would say my current intake is incredibly lengthy before they see a tutor. And when I say incredibly lengthy, they spend at least an hour with one of our intake personnel doing case management or being screened for case
Oh,
management,
that's great.
having that conversation. And then we would start the locator, maybe, or maybe
Oh,
they
well-
would make a follow-up appointment to
Well,
do
let me
that.
interrupt you then. I think that's great. I think that's
Okay.
a great thing.
Because I
And
was
by the
starting
way,
to
Ellen,
hyperventilate.
yeah, Ellen just put in a great one. I love the idea. Just anything that you don't have time to do up front, posting online, or following back up. Lori's idea about breaking it up and letting them know that it'll, we're going to double back with you, right? Maybe after you've been in a week or 2 weeks in the program, and everything,
Right.
giving them something. So yeah. Well, I know we're coming up to our 3:15 Eastern time. So please, my colleague Barry would love to help. I'd love to help, Brandy. So thank you to NYACCE. Thank you to my New York friends. Thank you to John. Yes.
Thank you, everyone. Thank
You
you.
know thank you in Gaelic, John, yet?
Garamahagiv.
Whatever he said. Yes. Gilgamesh, I think. Yes.
Thank you so much, Robert. Thank you, Barry. Thank you, Brandy. Thank you, Giovanni, for presenting today. It was really great interaction there. I think we all had a lot of ideas to take our look at our intake and orientation sessions. So the survey will pop up after we close this meeting when you're back in the lobby. So please do fill it out. And our next session is at 3:30.
Thank you, everybody. Have a
Thank
great
you all.
rest of the day. See you in New York soon. Bye-bye now.